where delta x is very small. Okay, that's the marginal utility of good x, where delta x is understood to be very small. What is the price of good x? That's just the additional dollars you have to spend to get another unit of good x. So look what happens. The delta x can cancel, and so this becomes just delta u over delta dollars. So in words, you could think of this as being the extra utility you get from the last dollar spent on good x. And you could interpret this ratio the same way. Use of y can be interpreted as delta u over delta y. The price of good y is just delta dollars over delta y. So this just collapses to delta u over delta dollar. Where it's understood now, we're talking about the extra utility you get from the last dollar spent on good y. Okay. So the verbal interpretation of this is the last dollar, the extra utility from the last dollar spent on good x has to be the same from the last dollar spent on good y. These have to be the same. And what is this? That's just your marginal utility of income. Delta u over delta dollar is just the marginal utility of income. So that's kind of an intuitive interpretation of this result. Furthermore, notice, forget about the lambda here. At the optimal solution, we require this. We require ux over px equals uy over py. If you just cross multiply, you interchange these two terms, you could write this as ux divided by uy equals px over py. So here's another interpretation of this efficiency condition. In other words, ux over uy must be the same as px over py. Or, in other words, what is ux over uy? The marginal rate of substitution of good x for good y has to be the same as the price of good x over the price of good y. This one simply means that at the optimal point, the budget line and the indifference curve have to be tangent to each other. At that tangency point, the marginal rate of substitution is the same as px over py. Slope of the budget line is the same as the slope of the indifference curve. Okay. These are just these are really just the first order conditions. Now, if in addition your indifference curve is convex, then this tangency point has to give you the maximum utility. Okay. All right. Well, that's enough for today. I'll let you out a few minutes early. I can see we're almost to the point where the marginal productivity is close to zero. So we'll stop here. Well, okay, yeah, we don't want to go that far.